Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Winnie. If you're meeting me for the first time, I'm a Nigerian currently in the UK doing my PGCE program in primary education. Okay, so I had to do this sit down video because I've been getting lots of questions as expected. So now I'll take you through the journey and I'll try to answer some of the questions that are there. I'll make conscious efforts to make sure I get people who are already in the system to answer some of the questions that I probably don't have a response to. So I'll make efforts to give concrete answers to every question that I've been asked. Okay, so I'll take you back to my background. My name is Winifred Chioma. Studied mass communication so many years ago. Life happened and I moved to Port Harcourt. So thinking of a career that would give me time for the family and every other thing, what more than teaching? I can remember my friend Chika. I don't know if she watched this video. So she told me about a training that was going on then in Port Harcourt with British Royal Class Academy, where they train people, even if you don't have a teacher background, they train you on public speaking, diction and elocution, the 44 IPA sounds, and then you start going to schools to teach children. So that was the training I did. And then I started going to schools as a diction teacher in Nigeria. So when you hear me talk like this, I beg, it's because of the job I do. So I was a diction coach in Nigeria. That was how my journey into teaching started. As a diction coach, you should be able to know basic English language. But I wanted more. I was enjoying the children I was seeing in schools. I was opportune to go to big schools, small schools, missionary schools, and what have you. So I saw kids and I saw learning in different perspectives. So I decided to become a teacher. Now, when I meet people and I tell them, okay, I'm a diction coach, a little bit glorified. When I tell them, okay, I'm a teacher, it feels like, you're a teacher. So I don't know, there's this kind of, maybe where we come from, I'm Nigerian, and they look at you like they usually look down on that career. But I know what I want for my life, and I know I didn't just want a career where people would maybe look down on me and be like, oh, you're just a teacher. So I wanted more. I wanted to actually get properly into education. And so because I do not have any background in education, I went for the postgraduate diploma in education in Nigeria with NTI. So I did that program. It's a year program, but because of strike and coronavirus, I think it stretched for like 2 years plus. So I completed that program. So I have my bachelor's in communication and my PGCE in education. I'm going somewhere. So after that, I realized that, okay, teaching diction or so is not just about curling the tongue and whatnot. I decided to get a master in English studies. So I did my master's program in English studies in the University of Port Harcourt. Sometime last year, I started hearing about teachers being in demand in the UK. And considering the fact that I don't just want to be a regular teacher, I see myself, owning a school, getting higher in the profession, and I didn't just want to be there being looked down upon. I decided to start, gathering information on how to become an England qualified teacher. Of course, we know the level of education in the UK. It's world class. So I wanted to just get trained there and everything. So that was how I started my journey and research into teaching. So first, I was applying for jobs, any teaching job I saw, because I believed that, okay, if teachers were in demand, as at last year, probably I could get sponsorship just like we have the care job. But then, most of the offers I saw were opportunities for science teachers, math teachers, and they rarely even came with sponsorship. So that was when I stumbled upon the other routes into teaching. So I would recommend get into teaching. It's a page on Instagram. They also have their website, Get Into Teaching. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. That was the site I stumbled upon in my quest to become a UK trained teacher. And that was how the journey began. So those of you considering to take this PGCE route, I'll just share how I started, the application process and everything. So I would want you to know that there are 4 different routes into becoming a teacher in the UK. And this PGCE route is just one of them, especially if it comes with a QTS. The QTS is the Qualified Teacher Status, which enables you to teach in England and some other countries. I think Canada is one of them and whatnot. I've been able to scribble down some points, yeah, because I had to start thinking. If I had known that I would actually start this channel, probably I would have documented every process, but it's better late than never. So I've started now. So first, you check your qualifications. Very important. Your qualifications, you should have at least a credit pass in your WAEC or NICO. Yes, I'm sure of those two. You should have a credit pass in mathematics, English, and any science subject. For me, I use biology. I think biology is like every student in Nigeria should be able to write biology. So I used my math, English, and biology. You should have at least a credit score and above. They will tell you for this PGCE program, you don't need a school experience. But when you're filling the form, you'll be asked if you have prior school experience. So I think the next process is to get a little school experience. Most people have never been to a school before. You can actually enroll on the course, but it's important to get a little school experience wherever you are, as it will help the journey. Okay, so next you go to the Department for Education, DFE, UK. That's where the application starts from. Now, when you go on that site, it will definitely ask you some questions to know the program you want to do. So for this PGCE program, it has 3 different levels that I'm sure of. It has for 3 to 5 years, 5 to 11 years, and then we have the secondary, and then we have subject specialism, where we have mathematics, secondary, biology, chemistry, computing, and all of that. They are all under the secondary. But for the primary, it's like everything. That's why you need your math, English, and science for if you're going for anything lower than the secondary. So I'm currently doing the primary routes. So I'm doing PGCE, primary education, 5 to 11 years. So if you choose 5 to 11 years, that means more like you take key stage 1 and key stage 2 and a little bit of the lower secondary, depending. So that key stage 1 and 2 is more like random year 1 to year 6 in Nigeria. But then if you choose the early years, which is less than 5 years, that's more like the primary, which we have a reception class and the rest of them. So after selecting the age group you would like to work with, the next thing you do is that you'll be given a teacher training advisor. It's free. So this teacher training advisor is the person that will help you through the processes if you're asking questions. But if you don't ask, I think we are still in contact because I was really following up on her. I was asking questions and she was very supportive. So they will explain everything you do not have an idea of. They would explain the schools, the requirements, the interview stage. They will just like be your guide until you're being accepted by one of the providers. So after you've gotten an advisor, the next is you'll write a personal statement. What's a personal statement? A personal statement is like you answering some questions. Why teaching? Why do you want to be a teacher? So you'd have to like construct it. Maybe if there is need for that, I could share personal statements. So it's like you answering the question of why do you want to be a teacher? You elaborate it and put some stuff, your journey. You can also relate to your previous, like I did communication and now you're coming back to do education. So you just link it somehow, and then you would also explain in your personal statements why you chose the age group you decided to work with, 5 to 7 secondary. Why do you think they're the best group to work with? And another thing is you get references. So you have option of 3 referees. One must be your lecturer, which I used my uni lecturer. I still had his contact. I reached out to him and he gave me a reference. Thank you so much, sir. And another one is like your character reference, which I used my mentor, my pastor's wife. We were working together at that point in children department. So she was adequate to be my referee. And I think another one was also a lecturer, but the 2 were enough, but I added 3. So 3 references, and then you start filling out the application form. Now, when you complete this process on the Department for Education, the next thing you're going to do is that you're going to have to choose 3 providers. Now, there are so many providers besides universities. I'm going to the university routes. There is also a school direct where you're working with the school directly and they are paying you salary. I don't know about that for international students, but I met some classmates that are on that route. So I went through the university. I chose 3 providers. We have some providers on the list. So I selected 3 of them. And then that application you've made, your personal statement, everything you have filled on Department for Education will cover for the 3 providers. and we now communicate with you directly. You don't need to apply to the school anymore because the communication is already ongoing. The Department for Education is handling the conversation between you and the school. I applied for three providers. They were all unis, and then I had an interview session. Now, two of them booked me for an interview session, while one was for September intake, but I wanted to go for January, so I didn't continue with that one. So I had to leave it there to make sure that the choices are complete. Not all schools accept teachers for January intake, so I went for the schools I was sure we are taking teachers for January intake. So when these schools reached out to me, they booked me for an interview. All of them required a band 7 in IELTS, not the general IELTS academics. So I had to write IELTS. When I was sure that I had my IELTS, they booked me on for an interview session. So the selection process is almost the same because the two I had their interview sessions, it was the same. So we started with a one-on-one interview with the person the school has selected, probably a lecturer. So we're interviewed one-on-one where you're asked questions. Maybe I could do another video of the interview questions, but it's basically to understand how interested you are in becoming a teacher and what you're going to bring to the table. So after that, you would have a group discussion where you and the other applicants get to maybe unravel one puzzle or talk about something, or you're given a topic to discuss. It was different for the two interviews I had. And then there must be a micro teaching, a presentation where you just already you'll be given a topic to do something, and then you're going to do that presentation. You're going to teach your interviewer. And after that, I think there is a task. Yes, I wrote task in one, but the other school didn't ask for a task. So we had a mathematics task where we were given some mathematics to solve. It wasn't that difficult, don't be scared. We solved some math, and then we did an English task where we asked to rewrite something, basically to check our spelling strength, grammar, punctuations. I think it was a passage that was wrongly written, and then we had to rewrite it and infuse the corrections. So when you're successful with this selection process, immediately, in fact, at the end of the interview, they'll just tell you, congratulations, you've secured a place, you receive a mail from us shortly. And then you go check your mail, maybe after some days, and the mail is there. Now, the Department for Education would get a feedback directly from the school, and then they would also mail you, and you have a dashboard already created there to tell you, okay, this school has accepted you, and you have this time frame to accept or decline the offer. So for the two schools I had their interview session, they both accepted me. I was told I was successful at the end of the interview, and then the Department for Education gave me a deadline to choose one provider. And what did I do? I just had to go back to check the two schools. I started doing my research. That was when I started digging deep into what the university has to offer. First, I had to go and check their ranking, teacher training providers, they are being ranked. So I had to check which one is doing well. After that, I had to check the tuition, So I chose the one that was most affordable. I don't get money. I chose one that was most affordable. The next thing I did was to check the provider that was situated in a cheap place. I checked where the cost of living is fair, how many schools they're affiliated with, because this course is basically about placement. You go to school maybe at the end of the whole thing just for 3 months or 9 weeks, but the other months and weeks you're spending it at your placement school gathering experiences. So after checking this, I settled for one provider. One, because they were cheaper. 2, because their ranking was great or better than the other offer I got. 3, because of the cost of living in that particular area where the school is. And then, most importantly, their conditions. The other school, I was okay with it, but their conditions, the things they were asking for, because what you're giving is a conditional offer. Then after meeting that you now get the unconditional offer. So the other school, their condition was so vast, I couldn't even understand most of it. So what are the conditions? What are the general conditions? IELTS, like I've told you, a band 7. IELTS, band 7 for IELTS academics, a credit pass in English, math and science, and a science subject, a police check, report of good conduct from your country, and the other one, I think there are things you just fill online, your acceptance, and then your questionnaire for health and whatnot. So I've had little conversations with some of my course mates who are not international students, and I got to understand that the price is a little fair for those of them, but the course is quite intense. It's a course that if you're coming for, you have to come prepared. You have to come prepared. So somebody asked me a question: Will they allow you to move with your family? Somebody asked the question: would you be allowed to move with a family? When I got my card, something called Certificate for Academic Sponsorship, it was written there that it's a level 7 program, and level 7 is master's. So yes, you're free to relocate with your family. If you're on that program, you're free to relocate with your family. Another question is, are you entitled to your post-study work permit? Yes, you are. You're entitled to get your 2 years post-study work permit if you pass. Now, unlike masters, this program is not a distinction, merit, it's just pass or fail. So how do you fail? We are giving assignments, we are giving tasks, lesson planning, and most importantly, your reports from your placement school. So that guarantees if you're going to pass or fail. Now, if you fail, or what am I saying fail? Now, if you don't pass, so I think some schools will just give you the PGCE certificate, not like the PGD, postgraduate certificate. But if you pass and pass well, recommended for a QTS, where you get a qualified teacher status. So like I said, I'm January intake. I just got in and I'm on the course now. So what I'm trying to do now is to create that awareness so that people know that something like this actually exists. Because when I heard about it, I was worried that I didn't see any international person doing the program. But gladly, since I came in, I've met quite a number of people that were here even before this January intake. So thank you for watching. I don't know if I've handled all the questions, but feel free to ask me any question that you think I have not answered. And like I promised, I'll take you through this journey, so we'll see how it ends. Now, what's the duration of this program? It's 10 to 12 months. 10 months established in the timetable we've been given, and then an extra 2 months to complete some of the things you've missed out upon, like lagging behind. You have that space to cover up whatever thing you do. You wrap up the program in 1 year. So thank you so much for watching. Subsequently, I intend to bring people that have passed the process and have actually gotten their sponsorship to be able to share some ideas. Like I said, this is just one out of the 4 ways to becoming a teacher in England. Thank you so much for watching. Please try to subscribe if you've not, like and share. Who knows, it might answer someone's question. Just the way I was searching for these questions and I did not see. So I'm here to solve that problem. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.